Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm sure some of you might be feeling a little on edge about flying lately. Yeah, with those recent plane incidents, like that pretty scary crash landing in South Korea. Yeah, it's understandable that people are feeling a bit apprehensive after seeing those news reports. I mean, these events are tragic and naturally make us, start to question air travel safety. Exactly. So let's talk about what actually happened. Okay. We had the Jeju Air flight in South Korea, skidding on its belly and then catching fire. Yeah. And then there was the Azerbaijan Airlines crash in Russian airspace. Sadly, both of those incidents resulted in fatalities. Yeah. Which I think is what makes these headlines even more jarring. Absolutely. These events are heartbreaking, but it's crucial to remember that they are thankfully outliers. Okay, so if these incidents are so rare, why do they feel so prevalent? Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Our minds tend to latch on to those kind of vivid images and dramatic headlines, even if they represent a tiny fraction of the overall picture. So what does the overall picture look like when it comes to aviation safety? Well, the International Air Transport Association, or IATA, tracks airline safety records worldwide. And their data for 2023 is pretty remarkable. They recorded only 30 accidents out of tens of millions of flights. So that translates to just one accident for every 1.26 million flights. Whoa. 1 in 1.26 million. Yeah, that is a tiny percentage. But I guess those few highly publicized accidents really do skew our perception, huh? They really do. We often overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily recalled, like those vivid images of plane crashes, even if they are statistically rare. So you're saying even though these recent events feel significant, yeah, they don't necessarily represent a trend towards decreased aviation safety. Precisely to put things into perspective, think about, your drive to the airport. Statistically, you're far more likely to have an accident on the road than you are in a plane. Hold on, are you saying that my daily commute is riskier than like a transatlantic flight? In terms of statistical probability, yes. And in some parts of the world, even riding an escalator might be riskier than flying. Really? Yeah. And that's because human error plays a much bigger role in those everyday activities. In aviation, we have layers of automated systems and stringent regulations that minimize that risk. Okay, that does kind of put things into perspective. But what about that MIT study that looked at the death risk per boarding? Didn't they find that there's still a chance, however small, of dying in a plane crash? Yes, you're referring to the study that calculated the death risk per boarding at 1 in 13.7 million between 2018 and 2022. It's important to understand that this study considered all sorts of factors, including terrorist acts, which are thankfully incredibly rare. So even though those numbers might sound kind of daunting at first, we need to remember they're considering an incredibly broad range of scenarios. Exactly. And those numbers actually highlight how safe flying has become. If you think about the sheer volume of air travel that occurs globally, yeah, that 1 in 13.7 million figure becomes quite impressive. But even with those reassuring statistics, those recent tragedies are going to impact the overall safety record for 2024. That's true. The South Korean and Azerbaijan Airlines crashes, with over 200 lives lost, unfortunately, are going to push the 2024 fatality count higher than the 72 recorded by IATA in 2023. It's a stark reminder that accidents can still happen, even with all the advancements in aviation technology and safety protocols. Yeah. And speaking of those advancements, I think it's worth bringing up Boeing. They've been in the spotlight a lot lately. Yes. There was that incident with the Alaska Airlines 737 MAX where a channel blew off mid-flight. Right. And of course, the 737 MAX groundings after those two fatal crashes. Yeah. Those events definitely raise concerns about Boeing's safety record. It makes you wonder, what has Boeing done to address those concerns and improve safety since then? Well, those 737 MAX incidents were a major wake-up call for the entire aviation industry. In response, Boeing completely overhauled the flight control software that was implicated in those crashes and implemented much more rigorous pilot training programs. They have also been working closely with regulators worldwide to ensure that the 737 MAX is safe to fly. So they didn't just try to sweep those issues under the rug. They took concrete steps to learn from those mistakes. Absolutely, the aviation industry is incredibly focused on safety, and they take any incident, especially fatal ones, extremely seriously. Yeah, they use these events as opportunities to improve their practices and prevent similar incidents from happening again. That's reassuring. I guess it's easy to forget that Behind those big companies and scary headlines, there are teams of dedicated engineers, pilots, and safety experts working tirelessly to make flying as safe as possible. Yes, and I think it's important to highlight that despite the recent events involving Boeing aircraft, flying still boasts an excellent overall safety record. So it sounds like, while we should always be aware of the potential risks, we shouldn't let fear completely dictate our decisions, especially when the data paints such a reassuring picture. You've hit the nail on the head. It's all about understanding the facts, acknowledging the complexities, and making informed choices based on a balanced perspective. And remember, aviation safety is a constantly evolving field. There are always new technologies and procedures being developed and implemented to mitigate risks. So what you're saying is that flying today is likely safer than it was even a few years ago. That's a fair assessment. The industry's commitment to continuous improvement is truly remarkable. They are always looking for ways to enhance safety and prevent accidents. It's amazing to consider how far aviation has come since its early days. Right, we've gone from those rickety biplanes to these incredibly sophisticated machines that can safely transport hundreds of people across vast distances. It's a testament to human ingenuity and our constant drive to push the boundaries of what's possible. Flying is a marvel of engineering and a symbol of our interconnected world. Beautifully said. I think you've given us a lot to think about today. It's so easy to get caught up in the fear and anxiety surrounding those rare but tragic incidents. But the data consistently shows that flying is incredibly safe. It's a classic example of our brains focusing on the negative even when the overwhelming majority of flights take off and land without a hitch. So as we wrap up this exploration of aviation safety, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question. Considering all the advancements in technology and safety protocols that are constantly happening in the aviation industry, do you think flying will become even safer in the future? That's a great question to ponder. I believe with the continuous focus on innovation, data analysis, and proactive safety measures, the future of flying is bright. While we can never eliminate all risks, we can certainly strive to make air travel as safe as humanly possible. And it seems like the industry is fully committed to doing just that. What are some of the key areas where you see the most potential for improvement? One exciting area is the development of even more sophisticated autopilot systems. These systems are already incredibly advanced, but future iterations could potentially handle even more complex situations, further reducing the potential for human error. That's fascinating. Hey, it almost sounds like we're moving towards a future where planes can practically fly themselves. Well, we're not quite there yet, but the progress being made is remarkable. Another area of focus is predictive maintenance, okay? By leveraging sensors and data analysis, airlines can anticipate potential maintenance issues before they become major problems, leading to fewer delays and even safer flights. It sounds like data is playing an increasingly important role in aviation safety. Absolutely. The ability to collect and analyze vast amounts of data from flights allows airlines to identify patterns and trends that might not be visible to the human eye. Yeah. This data-driven approach is helping them refine their safety protocols and make more informed decisions about everything from aircraft design to pilot training. So it's not just about reacting to incidents after they happen. It's about proactively preventing them from occurring in the first place. Precisely, and that shift towards proactive safety is one of the most exciting developments in aviation. It's a testament to the industry's commitment to constantly learning, adapting, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Well, on that optimistic note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've unpacked those recent incidents, delved into the data, and explored the future of aviation safety. We've really given our listeners a lot to chew on. And hopefully, armed with this knowledge, they can approach their next flight with a little less anxiety and a lot more understanding. Thanks for joining us on this journey. And remember, knowledge is power. See you next time.